in general, I have to say the department that I was working in was a really good one in terms of kind of social, communication. We had a daily coffee meeting every morning at 10:30. Everyone would come down and they'd set up the coffee machine so it would just be ready at that time so everyone could come and have a cup of coffee. And I think in some departments that's quite a rare thing. I think it's not always the case that people do actually kind of get together once a day and have a little chat. But there was always that sense of, like, even if you were struggling with something, even if you couldn't actually explain the thing you were struggling with to someone, the knowledge that they were also probably struggling with something as well was enough to sort of comfort you and make you feel like you weren't alone in your struggle. But yeah, the process of kind of getting yourself to where you need to be, I mean, it isn't easy. And you talk about maths anxiety, and that's a thing that I get. I worry sometimes that I'm not good enough at this, or that if I try and do a thing I won't know what to do. But one of the things that is a main skill of mathematicians, and it's something that people who have this skill do well at school maths and they do well later on, is perseverance. I think in the education world it's often called resilience, but it's this idea that if you are stuck, you don't stop and give up. You can try again. And I think I've done enough maths now to know that if I get stuck on something, it won't stay like that forever. I know that if I go away and do something else, think about something else for a little while and come back to it, I'll have fresh eyes on it. I know that someone else has probably already had this problem somewhere, and the internet is a wonderful thing, and I can search on there and find other things that are similar that might be able to unstick me. I might, if I search on the internet, find something that confuses me even more, but there's also the skill of kind of learning which things are actually going to be helpful and picking out the right things to read. But that is in itself quite a skill to recognize what is going to be useful to you as well. And it's just a case of I say it's not simple at all, but it can often just be a case of getting yourself in the right headspace. I remember reading about, there's a mathematician called Kathleen Ollerenshaw who was a really fantastic mathematician and educator, and she lived to over 100. I think I met her once, and she was from Manchester, where I'm from. And one of the things that people said about her was that when she got stuck on something, she would go to bed and she would sort of draw the mathematical symbols with her finger in the air just as she was falling asleep on some kind of imaginary whiteboard or blackboard, and just kind of put the image in her mind. And then when she fell asleep, she imagined that she was somehow dreaming the answers, and when she woke up, they would just be there. And that's part of it, that you can't, like, the way your brain works, you can't just keep bashing away at something. Like, you do need to take a break. And in fact, your brain will continue working on it when you're not actually thinking about it. So you come back to it and there's something else there that wasn't there before. Or you see something while you're doing something else that you think, oh, is it a bit like that? Oh, maybe I'll do that, I'll try that or something. And it's just, piecing those things together. Often, people think of maths as quite a logical thing, but it's actually quite creative in a lot of ways. And it's about having sort of a moment of inspiration. Oh, what if I try this? What if I do this? Maybe this will help. But also in terms of maths anxiety, as someone involved in outreach and education, I've seen a few projects about maths anxiety, because it is a very specific problem that actually, if your response to a mathematical question is actual fear, it's a physiological response. Your adrenaline goes and your brain starts working in different ways. And for some people, actually being faced with that makes it harder for them to do the maths. It makes it more likely that they'll make mistakes. It makes them more difficult for them to recall bits of information that they need. And they've literally done studies on this, that if you put someone in an anxiety situation, it's harder for them to do maths. So if someone has that kind of response, it's not helpful to sort of make them continue trying to do it. If someone is worried about it, they really need to take a step back, calm down, do something else for a bit, and then maybe come back and try a smaller problem, or a part of the problem, or the problem from a different angle, just to see if that is less anxiety inducing for them. But to a large extent, it's just familiarity, right? The more times you throw yourself at a maths problem, the more sort of, it's this resilience thing. You sort of become quite gung-ho and you're like, well, I've no idea what I'm doing, but I'll just try something and see what works. And that is basically the attitude you need to have as a mathematician. Not, oh, what if I get it wrong? It's just, is it this?